Oh, hey, wait, can we talk about non-competes anarchism videos?
Oh, sure, yeah. What about him?
Like, I don't have problems with his like critiques, but like I'm just not full on board with anarchism yet.
Okay, that seems
Mostly
reasonable.
because mostly just because I feel like, obviously like I'm against at the root of it. Like I would still consider myself a dem sock, but I'm like kind of on the edge. I don't know. But
On the edge of
like
anarchism, or
on
just
the edge of like socialism, like political violence. Essentially, it's a praxis thing. It's a praxis thing. It's not
so you're anti-praxis right now.
what? No,
What do you mean it's a praxis thing?
I don't know. I'm just not sure if I could actually defend like political violence and stuff yet.
So
I'm just
like
not. Wait, that's not what I wanted to focus on though. My problem is is
okay,
is in an anarchist society, like how do you like I know like anarchist doesn't mean like no government. It means you have communes instead. But when you implement that system, how do you without like the threat of violence from the police, like prevent how would you suppress capitalism from like re-emerging? Like wouldn't that just happen eventually?
okay.
Wouldn't
So
trading and stuff just turn back into capitalism and
okay, so like
lead to accumulation of power like that?
trading isn't capitalism.
I know, but like
You
doesn't
can
trading eventually become currency? Something eventually emerges as
um
currency when it's considered a resource.
I think we're already like we're never going to be like barring climate apocalypse, we're never going to have a single resource that's in so much demand in so little quantity, but still a substantial enough quantity to represent the collective wealth. Like the gold standard doesn't work in this era, right? Like there's less gold than there is conceptual money. That like it,
Okay.
we're already past in terms of global
So essentially, what
wealth.
you have to add is you just have to get rid of the like symbolic aspect of like paper money and stuff, and
No, I
then
mean
it
you're
wouldn't,
at
and then currency wouldn't be sustainable because nothing is actually worth
what
anything.
you're saying.
Like
It's
that's
gonna you reemerge by one material being scarce enough to serve as a resource, as a currency, but like
I
that
suppose,
that
yeah,
that, that
yeah.
doesn't work. Like that's already not true. You'd have to have like a spontaneous eruption of a fiat currency, which is not going to work. I
Okay.
mean, it's not that it's not going to work; it's that it wouldn't happen. Although I can't remember if this is in his anarchism videos or somewhere else. But there's like it feels weird calling it a parable. I think like the parable of the island would be like imagine there's an island with like ANCAP society on one half and like normal anarchism on the other half. Like how like in that scenario, who wins? Because in the fascism on the like contemporary stage, we always say that like fascism is super effective against liberalism, etc. Like they can win if we just put it on even ground, and that's why like socialist societies lose in the modern era, uh, right? But like if you just have an island and there's ANCAPs on one side and anarchists on the other side and comms, um, like who wins that society? It's the ANCOMs in that case because the vast majority of an ANCAP society is not happy under the society, right? Because it's like, and I didn't cover it great, but like I touched on it with the one dimensional political axis. ANCAP is super far to the right side in terms of non-equality because like it's just oppression by corporations instead of the government.
Yeah.
To keep those people from just going over to the ANCOM society, you have to have a bunch of police and stuff. Like if given free choice, everybody individually will switch to the ANCOM society until the ANCAP society can't function without its lower class workers.
Hmm. Okay.
So
I think I need to do a rewatch,
mhm.
but yeah,
I don't know if that's covered in his video or if that's something else, but like you see what I'm saying. So like
yeah.
given both of them together, the ANCOM society will beat the ANCAP society in a vacuum. So if there is only ANCOM society, there's not as much of a worry about
Yeah.
ANCAP society like
So just to rephrase what
flourishing.
you're saying, as long as there's like two societies and one has like a majority of oppressed people, and the other society is relatively egalitarian, then the oppressed people will go to the more equal
If they're
society.
both libertarian, then yes.
Okay.
But you need a lot of authoritarian control to keep that from being the case, which there often is in practice, a lot of authoritarian control. So that's why it doesn't happen. But if the existing society is all anarcho-communism, then there is no existing like military force to keep a
Yeah.
different order. Like for that to originate to be like nobody's gonna be down for being the lower class in an ANCAP society if you live in an NCOM society.
Yeah. I'm wondering about. I know he goes over this. It was like late though. I don't quite remember what his response to this was though. Like about like law enforcement. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously they'd be demilitarized and you'd abolish prisons, but like how do you successfully like? And I swear he talked about this, so just forgive me if I'm repeating,
Mm-hmm.
but like how do you root out the people who seek to take advantage of other people and like reinstitute hierarchies without any kind of like monopoly on violence? Is a monopoly on violence a necessary evil? Like could it just be reformed enough so that it's not?
What? No, I mean monopoly on violence would be inherently like authoritarian left, right? And
Yeah,
I don't even
but
mean that in
like
a bad
yeah, but
way. I
like
mean that as in that's not anarchism.
yeah, I know that's what I mean. Is that's just my counterpoint to it. Like would like why how would you maintain not law and order because that's a stupid buzzword, but like how would you make people who are just going to be violent no matter what kind of society they're in? I know that's not sounding very deterministic, but
Yeah, that's like seriously undeterministic.
yeah,
But
but like
I know what you mean.
there's in any
Like
society there's always going to be
it's
some amount of
non-zero. It's
yeah, it's
non-zero.
non-zero. Yeah.
I think what he says in the video is that you isolate them, which I don't think is what you should actually like. I disagree with him there. I think he says put them all in like isolated solitary confinement, which is
Yeah.
maybe the worst thing that he says in the anarchism series. Um, I think you probably just like I don't know, spread them out, let the individual communities deal with it. Like it's
But like
entirely
how do they deal with it? Like
it's
without an
entirely
inherently
decentralized, right?
yeah, but like isn't even if it is decentralized and you're dealing with it on a person by person basis, doesn't that involve some kind of like threat of
Okay.
threat of some kind?
Okay,
Isn't that
so
inherently authoritarian?
it's not inherently authoritarian to admit that every system has violence in it. That's a principle of the philosophy of Antifa video. Is that like every
Yeah.
society has yeah, it's just the state doesn't have a monopoly on it. So in an income society for there to be some kind of capitalist revolution, it can't be like a global thing. It's a because
Okay.
there's no global like you have to at least it would have to start with like one like what do they call it? I don't think they call them communes. They call them something else. Of 150 people would have to be converted to, like if not ANCAP, then like fascism. It'd probably be easier to pull off fascism than ANCAP, I guess. Um, Even though it would be like a weird form of it.
Yeah,
Um,
like
but yeah, like
fascism without starting in a world without borders. That would be
hmm yeah, but like so say the fascists and or the ANCAPs take over, and I don't mean like kill. I mean like they are the 150 people in the commune, and
yeah.
that commune is now fascist, and everybody cuts off trade with them, so they don't have the resources to like build a military. Um, and they have a police in this fascist one, I suppose, so that they're not letting any of the underclass people go, and or they just shove them out. Like so, either they killed all of the inferior races, or they just threw them out and they went to the neighboring communes, in which case they're already below 150 people. Or they just kept them for like slave labor or whatever, in which case they're at 150 people, but most of them are probably unhappy. So like, what do you do from there? You got 150 people with sanctions put on them, so they can't actually like build a military or anything. And it's not even sanctions. It's just like, we're not going to trade with you because we wouldn't benefit from it, right? Like it's all very like personal. Like, do you get
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like, how
Yeah.
does fascism spread there? Like,
Okay.
no,
Yeah, I understand. I
not
think I
many
get
people
it.
like profit from it. Yeah, watch the debate between the guy who made that non-compete and Destiny. It was,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I
Wait,
don't
is
know.
his first name seriously American?
Yeah, with an E.
I'm sorry, but that's so odd.
Yeah, he said he was like raised super conservative, right? Mm,
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. I would change
yeah,
my name, man.
yeah. I don't. He's not like, the anarchism videos are good, but I mean, there's that like, put the capitalist people in solitary confinement thing, which is like,
Yeah.
no, uh, like, but otherwise the anarchism series is pretty good. Most of the other stuff is like not great. Um,
I watched the Borders one. I watched wait, let me look at my library.
mm,
I watched a couple others. I watched the platformism, like the tactical unity one. He basically just repeated the same thing for like 45 minutes.
mm.
Let me check this out. I watched the Cutie Pipeline one.
That one is like his most famous one. Yeah.